granted.
Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko, the third and final installment of the Gex platforming trilogy. Like Gex 2, this game was released for the PlayStation and ported to the N64 a few months later. Does this adventure serve as a good series finale, or should we have just cancelled the cable? Let's give her a go.
As always, turn on the game, CG intro. Turns out that some spy named Agent Extra has been kidnapped by Rez, who's alive again for some reason, and Gex has to go back to the media dimension to save her. Agent Extra was played by a live actor, and because of which she only appears in the CG cutscenes. She's played by Marlise Andrada, who's been featured in Playboy magazine.
They hired a porn star to play a character in a children's video game!
Strangely enough, this game actually has a T rating unlike the previous two, which were rated E. The actual reason for this is because the game features demos from higher rated games, like Legacy of Kain and Akuji. Akuji? Has anyone even heard of that game? I sure as hell haven't. This also explains why the N64 version retained an E rating, as it lacks the demos featured in the PS1 version. Well, that and other reasons, but you'll see those later in the video. After accepting his mission, Gex jumps into a teleporting device and warps down to the Gex Cave, a top-secret underground headquarters that he just has now. Controls are identical to the previous game. The only real difference is that this game does have analog support. Unfortunately, it's not true analog support, as the stick will only move Gex in the 8 directions available using a D-pad. Weird enough though, Gex will walk if you tilt the stick a little bit and run if you tilt it all the way, so there is some sensitivity there. This kinda baffles me. The game came out in 1999, I don't see why they couldn't have had full analog support. The controls felt really clunky to me until I realized that it was because I was using a stick. Use the D-pad if you play this game, trust me. It feels a lot more natural than using a limited stick controls. Dana Gould reprises his role as Gex a third and final time. As always, he can get pretty annoying. However, if you like, you can turn the voice off. After doing this, Gex wastes no time saying a line before jumping into a TV. He'll just immediately jump on in after pressing the button. In past videos, I kinda forgot to mention that in the PAL version, Gex is voiced by a British actor, with the lines slightly changed to appeal to British pop culture. In Gex and Gex 2, he was voiced by a British comedian named Leslie Phillips. His voice in the PAL version is a little less obnoxious, and actually kinda sounds like James Bond, which is what they've been going for since Gex 2. In Gex 3, he was replaced by an actor named Danny John Jules. Though in Gex 3, Danny John Jules made Gex sound like a jive black guy, which I surprisingly really like.
I'm gonna find Prancer and Blitzen and ask them why reindeer have such dumb names. If you're calling from a touch-tone phone, please press 1 now.
The Gex Cave is this game's hub world. It's really small and only features 2 levels and a training room. Here you'll meet up with Gex's turtle butler, Alfred, who'll give you tutorials throughout the game. Now, this is how you do tutorials well. Whenever you see Alfred in a level, you can whack him with your tail to listen to him briefly about how you can perform a certain action or complete a certain task. But the way he speaks and words things doesn't just sound like he's giving you directions, he sounds like an actual character.
Press crouch whilst running to perform a deadly karate kick.
Because of this, his lines are really easy on the ears, and they never come off as annoying. Now, only if Dana Gould could do that.
With my trusty magnifying glass, I can spend the entire day burning ants.
Okay, that one was pretty funny. As you progress through the game, you'll unlock 3 additional hub worlds. These hub worlds are awesome. They all have their own themes, are fun to explore, and they have a lot of goodies to find if you look around. Gex no longer collects various items based on the level, but instead, once again collects fly coins. Collecting all 100 in a stage will reward you with a remote control. There's also bonus coins to find, which unlock the bonus levels, and paw prints to collect, which will increase your maximum health if you get enough. This game handles collectibles a lot better than Gex 2 did. Collecting fly coins is now more akin to collecting 100 coins for a star in Mario, but if there were only 100 coins, so collecting them all can be pretty cumbersome. Also, like Mario 64, you only need enough remotes to get to the next level, so as long as you complete the level's other objectives, you won't ever actually have to collect the 100 fly coins. I also really like the way they handle bonus levels. Instead of getting a butt ton of white remotes, which required you to collect a shit ton of items, now open up if you collect just a few bonus coins, which are scattered throughout both the levels and the hub worlds. The game truly benefits from having only one kind of remote control this time. It helps simplify and differentiate the purpose of each collectible. Gex 3 sports 12 levels. That is less stages than Gex 2's 15 levels, but Gex 3 doesn't recycle any of the themes. Each and every level sports a theme of its very own, and in every level this time, time, Gex will wear a different costume. Even all of the bonus and secret levels, Gex still wears a costume. I think I'd much rather have 12 levels that all have their own identity and are totally unique than 15 levels where half of them reuse the same assets. The levels include a Christmas level, Sherlock Holmes level, Egyptian level, pirate, military, western, mythology, fairy tale, anime, superhero, and my favorite, the New York Gangsta Mafia level.
Yeah, you heard me right. There is an anime-themed level in this game. Don't get your hopes up, though. It really just seems like they're like, what's anime? And then they watch Transformers. They're like, robots! And it's just robots. That's it.
This time, the costumes aren't just for show. If the costume has a cape or another feature of the like, such as a jetpack or a pair of wings, the costume will allow Gex to glide through the air for a short time with the R2 button. This adds a great level of variety to the level design. In some levels, Gex also gets to use a gun every now and then.
Wow, what is this, Shadow the Hedgehog? Well, I guess it could be worse. They could have pulled all that angsty bullshit, too.
The levels in Gex 3 were designed to be much more spacious than they were in Gex 2 to help avoid any camera issues. My biggest problem with Gex 2's camera was it getting stuck on things when in a tight area. The wider spaces in Gex 3 allow for more room for the camera to swing around so it doesn't get hooked in any objects. I can honestly say I encountered a lot less camera issues in Gex 3 than I did in Gex 2. I don't know if I'd say the levels overall are designed better than it was in Gex 2. There seems to be a lot less raw platforming segments and more running around getting collectibles, which can make the game feel a bit boring at times. Though I can say this game definitely has a much better presentation. For a cartoony PS1 title, this game looks gorgeous. Gex 3 is jam-packed with bright, contrasting colors with dynamic lighting that's a downright pleasure to look at. I said there was a level of detail easy to appreciate in Gex 2, but hot damn is it ever easier in Gex 3. Due to each level now having its very own theme, the game has tons of visual variety, a lot of which is really easy on the eyes. As for the music, I wouldn't really say it's as good this time around. Each song does fit the level just fine, it's just that none of the songs really pop out to me, unlike Gex 2 that had In Dragnet, which I just can't get enough of. Seriously, that song's frickin' awesome. While Gex 2 had 4 boss battles, Gex 3 only has 3. To compensate, there are mini-bosses in some of the levels, including one where you get to fight against Santa Claus.
You kill Santa Claus!
Each of the 3 hub worlds have a boss fight that you'll have to unlock by getting enough remotes, then defeat to unlock the next hub world. Gex will find himself battling a pro wrestler, the disembodied head from Wizard of Oz, and finally, Rez. The boss fights are all pretty average, and they just require repeating the same pattern over and over until the boss is defeated. The final boss has a level accompanying it instead of the level just being a separate TV like in Gex 2. This level is themed after space, and it's pretty damn challenging. The game ends with Gex finally rescuing Agent Extra, and then,
Come here, you silly gecko. Oh, Gex.
They have sex!
Yep, you can add this to the list of games that have bestiality in it. Though Gex takes it a lot further than Sonic ever did, good god. Yeah, that's the other reason the game was rated T. Also, the reason why the N64 version was rated E is the CG cutscenes were once again removed. Unlike Gex 2, instead of just shoving you in the hub world, the title screen's actually still there in the N64 version. They also created an alternate introduction where Alfred explains the plot as magazines featuring both Gex and Extra float by.
Agent Extra was mysteriously kidnapped.
The bits where Agent Extra talks to Gex are now viewed in-game from the Gex Cave, so they're all still there. The N64 version also doesn't have any levels cut. The only real notable difference is that the first 2 secret levels are different. That's fine, giving this version exclusive extra levels is good. I like that. Also, as for the ending, the CG cutscene was completely removed in favor of Alfred just explaining the conclusion, except he tries to make it sound like he did all the work, which is actually pretty funny.
He couldn't possibly have done it without my help.
Obviously enough, though, the N64 port is the inferior version as it has muddier visuals, a shorter draw distance, choppier frame rate, and again, slightly worse camera controls.
It's leaps and bounds better than the port of Gex 2, but either way, you're still better off with the PS1 version.
You probably noticed that I mentioned secret levels. Each of the 4 different hub worlds all have a hidden level. These are challenge stages where you have to collect 50 fly coins within an allotted time. During these stages, you can play as 2 extra characters, Rex and Cuz, which you can unlock by rescuing them in their own respective levels. It's nothing more than a skin change, so I wouldn't even really bother playing as anyone other than Gex. Beating these 4 stages will unlock the vault, where you can enter codes to unlock cheats, such as getting additional lives, unlocking all the levels, and etc. You obtain said codes by beating the bonus levels, which feels like a much better reward this time than just getting more remotes.
So, in the end, is Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko a good game? Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good game. Like Gex 2, it's on the PlayStation Store for only $6, so if you're a fan of classic platformers, go ahead and give her a download and give her a try. This time the N64 version actually isn't bad, but the PS1 version is still the superior version. In hindsight, I'd say the Gex series was overall a fairly decent one. It's a lot better than the Thai games, I can tell you that much for sure. While the first Thai game was second Thai game was alright, and third Thai game was bad, the first Gex game is second Gex game is pretty good, and third Gex game is pretty good, and I think that stands a lot taller. There are also handheld versions of Gex 2 and Gex 3 made for the Game Boy in the style of Gex 1, but I haven't played those, nor do I really plan on playing them, because I don't like Gex 1, so I can't imagine I like those games very much. There's also a cancelled toy line and a cancelled TV show, both based on Gex. It really seems that platformers tend to come in trilogies. Whether you owned a Nintendo or a Sony console, there's always tons to choose from. I really regret not owning a PS2 as a kid because I never got to play the Sly, Jak and Daxter, or Ratchet and Clank games. I played those games recently, but I just can't help but to think that I would love those if I were playing them at a younger age. But there was one other platforming game, one other platforming trilogy that I did play as a kid, and in hindsight, I'd say it was pretty damn good. I guess sometime in the near future I'll have to revisit my favorite Limbless Hero. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and as always, take care.
Hey guys, welcome to the End Slate. If you missed the last 2 videos I made on the previous 2 Gex games, you can watch those 2 by clicking on the videos on the left and the right. One on the left will link you to the Gex 1 review, and the one on the right will link you to the Gex 2 review. If you enjoyed watching this, don't forget to like the video. If this is your first time watching Nitro Rad, you think this is a good series, you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. It'd also really help me out if you guys could share the video on like Facebook or Twitter and, I don't know, show some of your friends. You don't have to, but I'd really appreciate it if you do that. So yeah, I hope to see you guys in the future, and like I said, take care. See you later.
Can't wait to see how fucking dumb that looked. Oh my god.